Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. You're listening to PHLY Flyers. That's right, PHLY. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me for this post-game show live here at the PHLY studios, my boy, JP Zapata. JP, not a fun one tonight. I can't wait to talk to Charlie about this one. Charlie O'Connor down at the Wells Fargo Center doing his capital J journalism duties. He will join us at some point this evening. But even when they've lost games for the most part this year, I've been able to pull out some positives, or it was at least fun to watch. Or, you know, on, was it Wednesday against Buffalo? Like, yeah, they lost 5-2, but they outshot them 40-15. Like, they dominated the game, and sometimes the other goalie's just better than yours. Tonight, they gave us nothing.
Yeah.
It really just, this was like before the third period, I was just like, this has been wildly uneventful. Just very little happened in the game tonight, it feels like, despite there being, 5 goals.
I'm very happy to be with you, Bill. I'm happy hanging out with you tonight. I'm just disappointed with just the performance. And I don't think, especially going into a game with the LA Kings, and the Kings have been pretty solid this year, but I expected a little bit more. And watching the game for these entire 3 periods just kind of felt like the Kings' talent just was a little bit too much here on the night. And just throughout the different parts, especially on some of these power plays, the power plays for the Flyers, I should say, it was just rough. So just frustrating because, like you said, even in a loss, you could pick out some positives. We were talking right before going on there, like, dude, what is there to even, like, I don't even know what to actually, like, segmented, like, on the outline. Like, so what are we, I don't know, they just sucked. Like, the Flyers just sucked tonight. And that's my question. One of my questions for Charlie is going to be, did the Kings win or did the Flyers lose? Like, there was just, they've been so good with attention to detail at this point in the season. They turned the puck over in front of their net a ton. Just seemed like there was miscommunication out there. They take 5 penalties. Like, 4 of them are on defensemen. There's a puck over the glass, delay a game penalty. There was just, they missed the net, I don't know, rough estimate, 400 times tonight. Like, they just didn't look like a team that was ready to play. And I don't know, maybe not didn't look ready to play, but they just did not have their A game. And I guess that's really what we need to expect out of this team, I guess, is they've looked so good so many times this year, whether it was in a win or even in defeat. Like the Vegas game, the Carolina game, there have been times where it's, oh yeah, they were fine, they lost, but like no complaints. When they don't bring that, one, just they're absolutely going to outwork you, and 2, they make mistakes, like stupid mental mistakes, like turning it over in front and puck over the glass penalties. This is what's going to happen against a team with more talent. Yeah. We've seen them stay afloat against teams with more talent, but it's because they brought their A game. Yeah.
Tonight, they were underwater.
Yeah, no, and I think I'm more on the lines that the Flyers shot themselves in the foot than the LA Kings did win. Like, look, the Kings have been good coming into this game, but you mentioned the penalties that they allowed. I think Igor Zamula had 2 penalties on his own tonight. Yeah. The shots on goal were pretty close, but at the end, the shots were not going in. The quality of shots were not that great. Cam Atkinson I think he had like 6 shots on goal.
He had a breakaway he didn't score on. It's just a rough night. Just they were not good.
And when that happens and they're grinding, they're working, but those shots are just not going in, you just know it's going to be a long night, especially against the Kings team. Look, they figured something out this year very well.
And that's the Kings are a very solid team. They have one of the better shot differentials in the league. Yeah. They get about 33 a game. They only give up around 27. So it's a low event hockey game. There's 54 total shots on net tonight. And this is where, when it's going to be, despite a 5-0 score, like the Kings only had 30 shots. It's not as if they're in the offensive zone the entire game. But this is the type of game that I think really emphasizes 2 things that the Flyers are missing. One of them is fixable. Sean Couturier. When I see like Travis Sanheim, Cam York, Noah Cates, Owen Tippett, they were all at least -3 tonight. And then I see Quentin Byfield with 3 assists. I go, well, this was a matchup they exploited. If you have Sean Couturier, maybe it's different. Good point. And at the end of the day, like, okay, so they lose 2-0 instead of 5. But it is, it's a matchup that they exploited tonight. And maybe if you have Sean Couturier, one of the better shutdown players in the league, that part is different. the thing that doesn't seem like it's fixable right now, the power play. 0 for 4, and
it was abysmal.
Like, when the Flyers go on a power play, it's a great time to go get yourself a beer or take a piss. Like, they are doing nothing. It's not as if, oh, they're this close, they're just, goalies are making saves, or they're just missing one-time opportunities. The power play is straight up boring. I don't know how they fix this. I did see at one point tonight, like they've had Bobby Brink on the right side, kind of doing just in a distributor role. They moved him over to the left just so maybe as a righty he has a one-time opportunity. But there's just nothing dangerous about this power play. And when I've talked to Charlie about this, it's like, yeah, stars run your power play, and that's the thing the Flyers are missing is star players.
They're not here yet.
But at the end of the day, the other team has less guys on the ice, and you can't generate scoring chances. Like, it's 5-on-4, man. Get a couple to the net and see what happens. Outnumber them in front and see if you can poke one in. Like, they just can't do it.
So boring to watch. And we talked about it too. Like, what is exactly the issue? Like, even like a guy like Bobby Brink. And like you mentioned, like a really good point. Like the fact that we're overloaded with forwards who are right-handed.
Yes.
Like, it's been an issue as well for the team, especially on that power play. But
they don't have anyone who can play pitch and catch across the ice. No. Like when the power play in Giroux's prime was humming, it was, lefty on the right side, Jake Voracek, and then righty on the left side, Claude Giroux, and they could go cross ice to each other at the like that was they always had a one-time opportunity if they could get a cross ice pass. And you don't have that if you have two righties on those two sides. You can only go the one way. And I think Bush pointed it out on the broadcast. He's like, when the puck is over on the right, they are so predictable because they can't generate a shot from there. They have to try to move to end. That's what you saw tonight. It's too predictable.
And it's to me a little bit as well as a mental psyche. Like, I don't see confidence when I see them on that power play. And I think that's part of the problem too with this team, especially with the woes that they had here tonight. Too much passing. You have to have a little bit of that killer instinct when you're playing on that power play. And we talked before about the entry. It looked solid here today, but when they were in the zone,
entries have been a problem for this team for a long time. But it's like, even if they win that faceoff and have the puck, I'm not like, oh, okay, we're set up here. Let's see if they get something going. It's everyone just kind of like hoping rather than having something in mind. And maybe they need to move the puck a little faster. They seem a little too deliberate, but I think that gets to your point about their confidence. They don't think they can do it on the power play right now.
That's what
they had a couple of games last week where they started to get a little something going, but listen, like no one goes over. They're going to score some power play goals. And since then, it has gone right back to they're not generating anything. And game like tonight where there were just very few scoring chances either way, you need to take advantage of those power plays. They got 4 tonight and looked horrible. Like, what was the I just want to see if I can bring up what Cam Talbot did when they were shorthanded tonight. Only faced 3 shots on the power play and 5 shorthanded. Like, the Flyers are generating as much offense shorthanded as they are when they're on the power play.
That's wild.
The numbers were basically even with the shots he faced tonight. They only got 16 on him at even strength, which shows you just nothing happened in this game. This was a game, the Kings scored 5 goals, and it's like, yeah, whatever. Nothing happened.
Yeah, and I feel like the last time we were on, that was the first Morgan Frost game, and he looked solid coming in the entry, and like I barely heard him here tonight as well.
I thought he did a couple of things early on in this game, but he kind of just faded in with everyone else, and that's more. He's being judged on a different scale right now, and with Sean Couturier out, they don't have an option to sit Morgan Frost really, so he's going to play. But he's been a guy now for this season that I've said if he wants to stay in the lineup and play consistently, he doesn't just get to blend in. Like if 3 guys look like, they could have been better, he's going to be the one singled out. He needs to step up. But really tonight, I have trouble singling out Morgan Frost when they had 16 shots at even strength. That's not enough. Like they just could not penetrate the high danger areas for that Kings defense.
Even Tyson Foerster, he had 3 shots here tonight, and he just couldn't get that through as well. It's just one of those nights they were not going in.
He had one really good chance in front where he drove the net. I think it was early in the second period, and like that's what I need to see out of him because he's been generating shots, he's been getting his opportunities, but the last few games, a lot of it's been coming from the outside. He's been just kind of settling for, well, I have a nice shot. I can take it from the top of the circle. And yeah, those will go in sometimes. But there's a short list of dudes who can beat goalies from that distance. And he's not on it right now. Yeah. Maybe in 2 years, we look at Tyson Foerster as like, oh, no, he's a sniper. He can score from there. My man has to drive the net and get to the dangerous areas, try to get one of those greasy goals. Almost had one tonight. Honestly, a really great work by Cam Talbot to keep it out of the net. But you're counting on him for offense.
Yeah.
And listen, it's all part of the process. They're rebuilding. But when I sit down and watch a game, it's hard for me to be like, okay, but in 2 years he'll be good. Like, nah, man, I need him to score right now. Like, I'm dedicating time to this. I need you to score a goal, dude.
Don't always trust the process. Apparently.
Yeah, sometimes it is just like you have to score. You're playing in the top 9. You are a goal scorer. You're being counted on for this. But tonight, it's not as if anyone else stood out. Like, oh, well, Tyson Foerster didn't do it, but this guy did. Tonight, no one did.
Yeah, got to go out and show it off, man. How'd you feel about Cal Petersen, man? Because I love the tweet we put out through the PHLY Flyers account. It didn't look so good in Lehigh Valley, and then tonight in the first period, he did look solid, and then it just took one moment, and it kind of just all went downhill for him, and it's unfortunate. Obviously, like there's a couple shots here tonight that Carter Hart may have stopped, but it was tough for Cal tonight. Overall.
It was. I kind of question the idea of it's Cal Petersen's old team, so he probably gets the start because of that, and it is a back-to-back, so it's like 2 reasons. But like I see last night, Sam Ersson plays very well. He is part of the future. He only faced 22 shots last night. Like it wasn't like he had a crazy workload. Played very well. You're trying to build his confidence. He played 10 back-to-backs in Lehigh Valley last season, so he's capable of doing it. I maybe wanted to see Sam Ersson start, but that said, Cal Petersen, when your backup is in, no matter who it is, and he's their number 4 goalie really on the depth chart, when your backup is in, you have to play right in front of him. They did last night with Sam Ersson. They kept him clean, very little in the middle of the ice. Tonight, the Flyers did nothing to help Petersen. Like, he's not very good. I'd rather see Ersson start every single game while Carter Hart is hurt, but he's not the reason they lost tonight. The complete lack of any offense is why they lost tonight. So he gets hung out to dry. They gives up 5. The numbers are going to look terrible. And when you look at what he's done in the NHL the last couple of years, his numbers in Lehigh Valley this year, how he looked in training camp, it's like, yeah, Petersen stinks. Probably, but that's not what I saw tonight. I just saw a team that was outplayed.
Yeah, it's like you can't put all the blame on him tonight. I think that it was just overall a game where the Flyers just maybe been a little bit outmatched, and that definitely happens from time to time. But even like the Kaliev goal, like that 3rd goal, dude, like we were even like, where did that puck even go?
Yeah, like you'd like to see him make the save there.
Yeah,
it's short side on his glove side, but also Kaliev's really good, and he's alone in front with a nice release, like sniped it, and the goalie missed it. And at the end of the day. All right, so 4-0 instead of 5.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see him make those saves, but they have to play so much better. You know what shouldn't happen? Him alone in front. Like, that's how you stop that goal from happening. And they just, as good as they have looked for most of this season, they looked the opposite tonight.
Literally. Damn, Bill, I would love some of those snipers on our team.
It would be really nice. And, not to throw any shade at what the Flyers have, but it's not quite what the Kings have. Tell you where you do need some shade, though. It's behind your Shady Rays sunglasses. Gear up for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades and quick swap snow goggles that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. durable frames, and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear as well. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. If you don't love your Shady Rays, and you will, but just humor me, they asked me to say this, but you're going to like your Shady Rays. If you don't love them for some reason, though, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. And now, exclusively for our listeners, this is the part you need to pay attention to. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out an amazing deal for the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. And just this 2+ pairs deal, legit 50% off for 2+. They have this outstanding innovation. I wear sunglasses basically every single day. I love aviators, but as a person with longer hair, you put the aviators up on your forehead when you go into Wawa or something. They then get stuck in your hair. Now it's all tangled. They have tangle-free aviators. It doesn't have the little nose piece in the middle to get caught. I'm a big fan of that. So check out Shady Rays.
It's the little things, Bill.
Yeah, it's the little things. Sunglasses have been around for like millions of years. No one's thought of this yet, and here they are, Shady Rays. Way to go.
We're in 2023, guys.
Vastly outperformed the Flyers tonight. Did do Shady Rays sunglasses. During the game, you asked me, what have you seen out of Cam York tonight? And I do not believe he took a shift in the third period. I want to find out if maybe he was a little banged up or if he actually ended up getting benched. He did make a few mistakes. The rolling puck in front on, I believe it was LA's first goal.
Yeah.
He just kind of goes to play it, and Adrian Kempe reaches around him and pokes it, and it gets by the goalie.
That started the avalanche.
And that just kind of started things. And he's the one who got the puck over the glass penalty. So some mistakes tonight. What did you see out of Cam York?
Literally, I didn't see much from him. But
he really has just not stood out at all this year.
The concern is because he's a young player, and we do have high expectations for Cam York, and you're just hoping that mentally he's fine. But no, it's really been not much of anything. And, we talked about the fact that this is a guy who's playing top defensive line minutes, and he's having some struggles. And we talked about the injuries we've been going through at that position as well. Like, what do we do with Cam York? You can't really put him back down, but he's obviously going through a mental lapse, and that's going to be the challenge here for Tortorella. Like, what do we do with Cam York?
This is another situation of, until Ristolainen's back, there's really nothing they can do, because they only trust so many guys with the big minutes. Now, Sean Walker has had a nice start to the season.
Right.
It seems like he's a staple. I like some of the things Zamula did tonight. But right now, Cam York's your number 2 defenseman. He's out there with Travis Sanheim. I don't know if there's much you can do, but that's another thing we can get Charlie's opinion on, because he's kind of been of the camp that
right.
York hasn't been outstanding, but he's been fine. I wonder if the benching tonight is a thought that Tortorella is expecting a little bit more than fine out of him. And now it's not early. Yes, it's still just November, but it's game 11, 12. It's not the first week of the season anymore. Guys who are going to have big years, you would think, might get it going a little bit by now, and just York has not to this point.
Obviously, that first goal, that moment sucked for Cam, obviously. But I guess the better question is, what were our expectations for Cam York going into this year? Because I per se, obviously defensively, he's having so many defensemen in Philly who lack playing defense. It's a crazy anomaly there. But so looking for obviously development there, but obviously being a presence from the blue line as well.
Yeah, it seems like they were really, throughout training camp and everything, John Tortorella has been stressing to York, I want to see the guy I heard about. I want to see a guy who can generate offense from defense. I thought a lot of, early on when Emil Andre was up here, it wasn't even so much because he was playing so well. He was making plays, but he was also making a ton of mistakes. But he's not afraid to make them, and he's aggressive. He tries to generate offense, and I thought so much of him being up was Tortorella going, this is what we want you to do, Cam. Like, we want you to do, you're better than him. So, like, do the shit he does and you'll be really good. And, like, just haven't seen that next level out of him yet. So that's definitely something I want to ask Charlie about. And there were reports coming out of the arena, especially early tonight, that the crowd was really good.
Curious
and
about
this
that.
This is a long-running joke we've had about the Flyers. Like, every time it's been like, oh, yeah, tell your casual fan friends, like, get back in. It's fun. They then come out, like, everyone does it, and then they do this. Like, today's a fun day. Sixers win early in the afternoon. Got the doubleheader at the Wells Fargo Center.
I know.
Flyers, nice win last night, coming back home. They've been playing well. Yeah, they lose 5-0. Like, it's just the most Flyer shit imaginable. Like, yeah,
Especially
this is what you get, and they do it at home. Which I have one guy who's constantly tweeting me like, "Oh, they lost at home again, bunch of bums." I'm like, and if they were winning, you'd be complaining that they're winning too much, and you want a top 10 pick. But some people are never satisfied. That said, Saturday night, everyone's kind of got okay, raise the expectations a little. They let those people down tonight.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, you know, the attendance at the Wells Fargo Center has been something we've been documenting as of late. Obviously, last year, I remember the highlight was the brown paper bags on the
tremendous
on the fans for sure. But no, like, we all heard about the atmosphere there, and I'm asking Bill, like, what's the capacity? Like, what are we actually looking at here? And it looks solid, and it's unfortunate because with the vibes of Philly here today, everyone was excited. You mentioned what was going on in Philly today, and everyone shows up happy. And then 2 goals in the first, 2 goals in the second, and by not even halfway through the third, everyone's like, all right, well, what bar are we going to now?
Yeah, it's really like, yeah, we should just go to Xfinity now.
Yeah, seriously.
This great comment. It's going to hurt when the Flyers lose to the Sharks. I am actually very interested in the Sharks-Penguins game tonight.
Talk about bad attendance.
Oh, man. I mean, the Sharks lost 10-1, and it wasn't that close the other night. It could have been 20-0, basically. Like, Vancouver stopped playing in the third and they won 10-1. So I'm very interested to see if they can get their first win against the Penguins tonight, because I have now basically come to grips with the Penguins winning the draft lottery. Like, that is their last place in the Eastern Conference. It's going to happen. Everyone out there,
will the NHL do it again?
Yeah, the NHL will once again rig it for the Pittsburgh Penguins, because they did the last time. Don't kid yourselves.
Why Pittsburgh?
They probably did for Mario too. This has probably been going on for 30 years. I have no idea why.
What's with this market?
Because when they have a generational Hall of Famer, they sell out every game, and when they don't, it's like, yeah, we're probably going to move to Kansas City.
You know where else they do that, though, Bill? Here in Philly.
Yeah.
We do the same thing here in Philly if you put a good product out there.
So we'll see. But it's just something I've convinced myself of. So when it happens, I've been prepared for it for 7 months.
Get yourself ready,
so just like mentally. When the Penguins get Macklin Celebrini, everyone prepare yourselves for that. I guess I should do my 3 stars of the game here, because it's going to be a real quick segment. I got to go to star number 3. I honestly thought the most entertaining part of this game was right before the third period started, when Bush and JJ kept saying shutout in an attempt to try to jinx Cam Talbot. That was, I thought, great. You know, it takes a village. Mm-hmm. It's a team effort, and if the broadcasters aren't trying to jinx the opponent, what are we doing here? So great work from Bush and JJ. Number 2, Cam Talbot. 13th career game against the Flyers. 4th career shutout. He basically plays them once a year. He's been in the league for 11 years, and he shuts them out once. Like, that's
so
nuts.
Frustrating.
Like, he plays them once a year, and he's got 4 career shutouts. It's like 14% of his career shutouts are against this team. That it's not like he's in their division. He doesn't play them all the time, but still, and he actually played for the team for a short period of time. But somehow, the 18-19 team that used 8 goaltenders, he was part of that. He was part of the 8 goaltender mix that one year. And number 1, The Kings silver helmets. That was by far the best, the star of this game. I really like you pointed it out, the 3D American Express advertisement on there. They're going above and beyond with those helmets.
So next year, guys, I heard this is breaking news here on PHLY Flyers. We're going to do highlighter orange helmets for the Flyers.
How sick would that be?
I'm obviously kidding, guys, but we're obviously throwing things around.
Because, listen, something's got to make that game more fun.
When you're losing like
watching
that, we got to talk about something.
It wasn't watching the game I drew my entertainment out of. It really wasn't. And it's just, tonight was a great reminder of where the Flyers are.
Yes.
Yes, when they bring their A game, when they seriously outwork their opponents, they will look good. They might win, they might lose, but they will at least look like a good team. Tonight, they looked a lot like last year. Just turnovers, generating very little, taking bad penalties. They just looked like a team that, they played last night, so there is something to that. They did just play, and the Kings did not. So there's a little bit of an advantage there. But the Kings are also coming cross country, and it's not as if Buffalo is
They're also
that
really
far
good
away.
On the road too.
Yeah, and the Kings are just a good team. They have been rebuilding. They actually seem to have pulled off what the Flyers attempted to do with Giroux and Voracek in the semi-rebuild. They still have Anze Kopitar and Drew Doughty, but have somehow also rebuilt through the draft and have acquired some really, really good young talent, like Quentin Byfield, who had the 3 assists tonight. So I guess it can be done, but it's 2 teams on 2 totally different levels. I don't think the Kings can win the Cup this year, but they probably think they can. They at least have a chance to compete to maybe get to a Western Conference final, and then anything can happen from there. And tonight was just and the Flyers aren't close to that. As much as we have enjoyed the start to this season, and they are so much better than they were last season, it's just not yet. Oh, you were enjoying this? Yeah, they're not there yet.
Yeah, but the hope is that on a night-to-night basis, we don't have to deal with the Flyers going into it against a really good team and just looking like they don't belong. I want to see more of that effort. I want to, on a night-to-night basis, point out a Cam York performance or a Noah Cates performance. And unfortunately, that's just not it tonight. But you're going to have to go through your bumps and bruises. You're going to have good nights like what we've talked about before. But unfortunately, you're going to have to go through nights like this. And like we talked about, the Kings are well coached as well. Tom McClellan is a solid coach. He's done a really good job with this Kings team as well. They kept Talbot pretty clean as well. But it's just unfortunate. It's funny because the stats weren't that far off for most of the game.
No, it was just the Flyers couldn't take advantage of any of their power plays. 0 for 5. The Kings are 1 for 4. Flyers were 0 for 4. Kings were 1 for 5. And that's too many penalties. That's another, just didn't have it tonight. You take 5 penalties. LA was the 4th best power play in the league last year. They were a little over 25%. Well, you take 5 penalties, 25%, guess what's going to happen? They're going to score 1. You just gave them too many of those opportunities. And it's not just that they're on the power play. Yes, the Flyers are pretty good on the penalty kill and have scored some shorthanded goals this year, but you're also taking opportunities 5 penalties. That's 10 minutes of a 60-minute game where you're probably not going to establish any offense. You're giving yourself even fewer chances to score on a team that keeps their goalie clean. They only give up about 27 shots a game. All right, now you've just taken 10 minutes out of this game that, you can get a breakaway, you can block a shot, get a shorthanded goal, but probably not. That's not something you can count on to generate offense, and you see it tonight. Just too much of the just the little things, the attention to detail, and that's missing the net. I had the event report up in front of me.
Bringing it up here, dude. We saw way too many of that.
So many opportunities when they actually did get pucks into the slot. All of a sudden, they're ripping it wide. The Flyers ended up with 16 of their shot attempts were blocked, and 15 just flat out missed the net. So they get 24 on net and another 31 shot attempts that don't get there. You're not going to get that many opportunities. When you get them, you can't just miss.
Yeah.
And we saw that way too much tonight. And I think that was Tyson Foerster, who was -2 on the night. He himself Yeah, 2 missed. Hit the net 5 shot attempts, just straight up missed twice.
Yeah.
I don't want them like, okay, we just got to get it on net. Like, I don't want you just pulling up, taking a wrister and hitting the goalie in the logo. Like, that doesn't do anyone any good either. But you got to do better than 31 attempts that didn't have a chance. And now I believe we are joined by the #1 beat reporter in all of Philadelphia, especially as it pertains to hockey, the one and only Charlie O'Connor. Charlie, a little bit of a disappointing one out there tonight. There we go. Now we can see him. I just want to lead off with just impressions of a team that just didn't look like they had their A game tonight.
Yeah, this is either this or the Ottawa game was the worst game they played all year. Even though they lost by a lot to Anaheim a few weeks ago, I thought they mostly played well in that game. That was more of a goalie problem than the team not just having it. Today they just didn't have it. And I think it's worth remembering, too, that LA is a good team. Like, LA, actually, we've talked about how the Flyers are driving play this year, are doing well at 5-on-5. LA entered this game as the best expected goals team at 5-on-5 in the NHL. Like, this is a team that seems like they're taking the jump into being a potential real contender in the West. So I was intrigued to see how the Flyers are going to match up against them, and turned out that they didn't match up well at all. But I do think that, number one, you have to cut them a little bit of slack, given they have played pretty darn well. I know they've been losing more, but a lot of these losses, they played well in the losses, so I'm not going to give them too much crap for that. Also, honestly, I think the schedule probably caught up to them a little bit here. It was a third game in 4 nights. You were in Buffalo last night, so you had travel. They just looked like a team that I don't even know if I would say that they looked physically tired, but they definitely looked a bit mentally tired. They weren't sharp. They weren't sharp with their plays. They were flubbing some defensive coverages. There were a lot of plays by guys that just didn't seem like they were hard hockey plays. You talk about like being hard on pucks, things like that. They just weren't. They just weren't hard on pucks.
No, that's what I saw was a team that, just did not look sharp, took too many penalties. Like, they've done such a good job of keeping the high danger areas clean for their goalies a lot. And tonight there's just a lot of flubs there, turned the puck over in front of the net a few times, missed the net a million times. I saw a team that, just didn't have that A game, and it's a reminder of when they don't work their asses off and don't have their best game against a really good team. Like, you talk about the schedule catching up to them. They haven't been playing the little sisters of the poor for the most part. Like, it's some really, really talented teams that they've been playing and looking good against. And tonight in a back-to-back, when they just didn't have it, they did not have it at all. I do think there were like 2 key problems with this one. And like I said to JP earlier, one is solvable. I see Cates -3. I see Tippett -3. Sanheim and York, I think, -4, -3. This was a matchup issue. When I see Quentin Byfield with 3 assists, I go, okay, with Sean Couturier, maybe a little bit of a different story. Yeah, you're missing your best shutdown center, back-to-backs. All right, that's a fixable issue. You're going to get Couturier back, presumably, at some point. The power play, though, this thing is out of hand ugly. They do nothing. Like, when they got a power play tonight, I immediately was like, I'm gonna go grab a water and hit a bathroom break. Like, this is basically intermission. They're generating nothing on the power play.
It's pretty rough. And the funny thing is I actually think they have made strides in terms of their entries. I think they're getting into the zone better. I think they're getting set up better. The problem is that once they get into the zone and once they get set up, they have no idea what they're doing with the puck. They're either passing it around like it's hot potato and no one wants to shoot, or they're just shooting wildly from the worst angles possible and hoping like hell that a rebound just pops up and shows up on somebody's stick. Like, it's a power play right now. To be short, it just doesn't seem like they have a plan. It does not seem like they have any one guy that they look to drive things. It doesn't seem like they have any idea where the players should be. And by I'm more talking about the coaching staff. Like, look, we've discussed Morgan Frost ad nauseum about his fit, about his strengths, about his weaknesses. But there's one thing I am 100% confident that he is never going to be able to be good at, and that is playing net front on a power play. Like, what are we doing? Like, look, like I'm not saying this power play is ever going to be good, but like that's an unforced error. Like he's never going to be a net front guy.
Yeah, I thought maybe they were like, all right, but we want him to distribute from behind the net, so it's a pop in front, pop back. But if he's the net front, you have to figure something else out. Like you have to figure out another way. If you want him running things from behind the net, you have to have another guy on the other side who's actually going to pop in front. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I did think they made an adjustment tonight because on the broadcast they pointed out like when the puck is on the right side, it's way too predictable because they can't generate any shots from there. And as we pointed out, this is a team of right wingers. They have no lefties, and that's a problem. And I did see them move Bobby Brink at one point over to the left side, but still, the guy opposite him is not a one-time threat at all. Like, I know they don't have the high-level players, but is this one of the issues of maybe they just don't have the personnel in terms of handedness? I know I'm the one who's always like, they make too much a lefty-righty, but in these specialized situations, they have no lefties.
No, I think handedness matters actually quite a lot on the power play. And yeah, there are some weaknesses there, but they have enough left-handed shooting players that they should be able to put together something. Like Joel Farabee shoots left. Noah Cates shoots left. Sean Couturier, when he's healthy, shoots left. Like they have forwards who should be on a power play or could be on a power play. Morgan Frost shoots left. Like they have lefty shots. So there could be a way to make this work even with the preponderance of righties that they do have in this lineup. Like there's a way, and I keep going back to this, but it's like, it's not that I think this power play has the ceiling of being really good, but it shouldn't be this bad. Like they should be scoring more and they shouldn't be looking this dismal when they're not scoring. And, you know, look, in no way, shape, or form am I saying like, yeah, fire Rocky Thompson tomorrow, but like he's not doing a good job managing this power play. He's just not. And he deserves to be criticized for it.
Real quick, Charlie. I don't know if Torts has mentioned anything about the power play, but like for you personally, what's one thing you want to see more going forward from the power play unit or units?
You know, the thing that I want, and this isn't necessarily something that, you know, you're going to see right away, but the thing that I want is I want there to be one guy, at least on the top unit, even though, like, what is the top unit at this point? They both stink. But I want to see one guy stand up and say, I'm taking charge. Like, I want the power play to run through me, whether that's Travis Konechny, whether that's Joel Farabee, whether that's Sean Couturier. Like, I don't care. I just want someone because, like, this is a power play right now that like it revolves around no one. And I'm not saying that they have a Claude Giroux on this team because they don't, but like when Giroux ran the power play, everyone knew it was Giroux's power play. It ran through Claude Giroux. This power play doesn't run through anybody. It's just they're just passing the puck around. There's no central cog. And I want someone. It doesn't have to be one particular guy. Like I'm not saying like Travis Konechny, you have to do it. Hell, if it's Morgan Frost, that's great. I want to see someone basically stand up and say, I'm taking charge of this power play and I'm going to make it work. And right now, no one's willing to do it. That's what I want to see.
I want to know what you thought about Cam York tonight. Well, first was Cam York benched or hurt in the third period? Do we have any clarification on that?
No, he was definitely benched. Unfortunately, so I did ask John Tortorella because we got John Tortorella actually before the players this time. I think he was going to greet some of the service members that were in the building for Military Appreciation Night. So I think that's why he wanted to go early. But Torts didn't really give much. We asked for Cam York. I believe that the people, the reporters are down there getting him right now, but I couldn't wait any longer because I had to come up and do this. So Cam will speak. I would assume he might be speaking literally at this moment and we'll hear his side of it. But no, he was definitely benched and Torts essentially said, look, like I have my ideas as to why he played so poorly, but you're going to have to ask him. He wasn't willing to give a lot. Yeah, York had a real bad game. And I've been defending Cam York a lot over these last few weeks, saying I don't think he's been as underwhelming as some people have argued. He certainly was that underwhelming tonight. He was real bad.
On the was it the first goal where Kempe reached around him on that bouncing puck? Like, do you have any thought of what should happen there? Like, to me, I'm thinking maybe Petersen needs to say, body, and then he plays the puck, and York turns around and just doesn't let the man get in that position. Like, is there any idea of how that should be played, or is it just a fluke? I like the puck over the glass. That's inexcusable. That's another attention to detail thing. There's just an example of what went wrong tonight. But on that first goal, is there any idea of like what should go on? He just needs to make a play.
Well, I mean, the number one thing is he needs to bat that puck down because that's what he's doing. He's waiting for the puck. If you're going to make that particular play, you got to actually deflect the puck and get it out of harm's way. That said, to me on that play, he just looked casual. He looked like he was too casual, and I don't know whether that means that he should have more actively tried to go get the puck rather than wait for it to come to him, or if that means to back up a little bit and try to, interfere but not really interfere with the LA player behind him. I just want to see a little bit more engagement. It seemed like on that play, he was waiting for the play to happen to him rather than going out and trying to make a play. And that was my frustration point on that play. And I'm sure that was Torts' frustration point because that's something that he hates when guys play they look casual out there. That was his big concern with Travis Sanheim last year. That was what frustrated him so much about him. And, say what you will about Sanheim this year. I think he's been really good for the most part. But the big thing that he's changed this year is he's very much not playing casually. And Cam York tonight, all too often, looked like he was playing casually.
Charlie, real quick, let's talk a little bit about Cal Petersen. A lot of eyes looking at his first start here for the Flyers. It was rough, but obviously didn't get a lot of help. What did you assess with his start here tonight?
He wasn't good, and he admitted that after the game. I thought that fourth goal, I know it deflected a little bit off of Travis Sanheim's shin, I think, but it's a short side goal. You can't be that far off your spot to allow for that to happen if you get a little bit of a weird bounce. Look, there's a reason why they kept Felix Sandstrom around and didn't put him through waivers, and it's pretty clear it's because they didn't have a lot of faith in Cal Petersen. Cal Petersen wasn't putting up good numbers in the AHL after they sent him down. He was getting essentially outplayed by an ECHL goalie in the AHL. This is not a guy who is anywhere near what he used to be a few years ago. I don't know if he can fix that at this point or if this is just who he is, and what he isn't is an NHL goalie right now. But this really shouldn't have come as a surprise. He had one good preseason game, otherwise didn't look good. Hasn't looked good in the AHL, was terrible the past 2 seasons in the NHL. Yeah, if Petersen plays, they're probably going to lose unless he can find some miraculous way to turn it around. But, especially now with Sandstrom, he has an upper body injury, I believe. Either a lower body or upper body. I know, obviously, it's either one. But he's out for a little bit. They basically ended his conditioning stint. Could be mid. That's true. Carter has the mid-body injury. But they're kind of stuck with Petersen until Hart is healthy. And he's day-to-day, but I think he's going to miss some time. And they have another back-to-back next weekend with the Anaheim-LA back-to-back. So he's probably going to get in another start. This just might be what we have to expect when they play Cal Petersen, because the recent track record tells us he's just not that good.
Now, I before the game tonight, I checked out Sam Erson's game logs from the AHL last year. They played him 10 times back-to-back games. He only faced 22 shots last night. It's not like he had to stand on his head, 38 save performance. If this wasn't the Kings, Cal Petersen's old team, do you think maybe they'd consider going back-to-back with Erson? He's young, he's better. They like him. He's part of the future, presumably. Do you think they have any interest in doing that?
So what I would say is probably not, just because Hart's already injured, Sandstrom's already injured, and you play a goalie on back-to-back nights, you are probably have a slightly higher injury risk. And I don't think they wanted to risk the possibility of having 3 goalies out, and then Cal Petersen does have to start every game. And if this is a harbinger of what's going to happen when Cal Petersen gets in even one game, if he has to start 5, they're probably losing 5. So I don't think that was ever really on the table because of the injury concern. I think they know that Erson can in a pinch. He could go back-to-back if they really need him to, and maybe they will consider doing that next week. Maybe. We'll see. But I do think that there is an increased injury risk by playing back-to-back, and they already have 2 goalies injured, so to me, that's why you don't do that.
Charlie, I want to talk about the Kings kind of rebuild because we were talking about it a little bit here today. You know, what can the Flyers take from the Kings rebuild that they can implement into their rebuild that they're doing right now?
That's an interesting question. They obviously had a lot of high draft picks. They didn't hit on all of them. I mean, Quentin Byfield was really good tonight, but he hasn't developed as quickly as I think they hoped. Alex Turcotte they took with the top 5 pick. He looks like a straight up bust. So it's not like they nailed all their picks. But what I'll say about LA is that they stuck to their plan. You know, they stockpiled picks, they stockpiled assets, they drafted high in multiple years. And then what they've done over the last maybe year and a half is they really made an effort to turn the corner when they felt like they were ready to. Obviously, they traded Gabe Vilardi in the Pierre-Luc Dubois deal. Like, they went for it, and I think the Flyers probably can take some lessons from the Kings in that. Look, it's important to stockpile draft picks. It's important not to give up on the rebuild too soon. But when you think you're ready, be aggressive. Be aggressive and try to make ads and try to get better. And I think they can take that away from the Kings, because it looks like the Kings have now turned the corner and they are a legitimate threat in the West.
Since the rebuild has been brought up, Charlie, I have to ask. We have the winless Sharks against the Penguins tonight. Penguins are last place in the East. Are you mentally prepared for Macklin Celebrini, Pittsburgh Penguin? Is that something you're ready to deal with? Because I am preparing myself for it now.
I am in no way, shape, or form ready to deal with that. I would be horrified if that was the case. No, I think Pittsburgh is going to get better. Like, they're obviously off to a rough start, but their underlying numbers are pretty good. They still have Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Erik Karlsson. Like, they have guys that should be able to win them some games. Now, are the playoffs looking likely? They're quickly sliding out of reach for them, and they were already a bubble team. But I'm not super worried that they're going to finish in like the bottom 5 of the league. I don't think they're that bad.
All right. Did we get any? It's a game day, so I don't know if he talked about anyone who didn't play, but any updates on Couturier or Hart?
Not really. We did ask Tortorella after the game if either of them or both of them or none of them are going to be going on the trip, because they'll leave tomorrow. Torts was not willing to clarify as to whether either of them or both of them will. My guess is that Couturier will, because I think the Couturier injury is truly day-to-day. The Hart injury is a little bit more nebulous. My guess, and this is not something I've heard, this is more just something I'm guessing. My guess is that it's a groin injury, because he's had issues with the groin before. When you're talking about mid-body, that's about as mid-body as it gets. And those injuries are tricky. So the day-to-day designation for Hart very well might just be like, hey, we don't know how he's going to respond to treatment. If he feels real good for 3 straight days, maybe he's fine. If he's still hampered by the end of next week, maybe it's a 3 to 4 week injury. They don't know. But my guess is Couturier definitely goes on the trip. Hart, I'm a little bit more 50-50 on.
All right, and we want to talk real quick about the atmosphere. We heard on social media, we saw it on TV, it looked pretty solid. Obviously, kind of stinks when they get blown out like that. But what did you make of the atmosphere tonight?
I mean, the place wasn't full, but it was definitely more full than it has been for a lot of other games this year. It was honestly a really cool visual. I don't know if they show this on TV, but they had the rally towels. It was basically like a military thing. I think there was some sort of thing on there. But when everybody was swinging the rally towels, it looked pretty cool. It was a little Phillies-ish. I know the Phillies now, they have the red rally towels, but I remember back in the 2000s when they had the white ones. So it was a nice little throwback there. It was a good atmosphere. Now, by the end of the second period, all those fans were booing the Flyers going off the ice. Not that the Flyers didn't deserve it. They played quite poorly. But maybe, it was a little bit of a blessing in disguise for the Flyers to actually have a fair amount of fans out to this game in particular. But no, it was a good atmosphere. I think that the place was loud, especially in the beginning. It was pretty full, and it's a Saturday night. Like, these are fun games. A Saturday night game is going to be a little bit better attended. You had the military element, so my guess is there were a fair amount of service members in the audience that made a point to go to this game. It wasn't bad, and the team's playing pretty well. So I guess if more people are getting on the bandwagon, I guess that's good. Certainly good for us.
Well, that's I said to JP. It's been a long running joke that Every time it's, Flyers are looking fun. Flyers a little better, man. Check them out. And it's like Saturday night game. Sixers already won today. Nice fun experience. And they lose 5-0. Like, it's very much they lost 7-1 on Halloween to Pittsburgh. So everyone just go back to ignoring them. Like, that's, I really felt when everyone was like, the atmosphere is good tonight. It was like, I know what's going to happen. And of course,
I've seen this story before.
Yep. They lose 5-0. I doubt John Tortorella was in a great mood. Any real good lines?
Not really. He actually wasn't too angry, aside from the fact that he wasn't willing to give us essentially anything on his reasoning for benching Cam York in the third period. He did give some interesting little tidbits just about, like, more or less saying what you said, where this is what happens. These are the kind of performances you're going to see if the Flyers don't work their asses off. Like, this is their floor. This is how bad it can be when they're not outworking the other team, which means it's really, really important for them to outwork the other team.
And that's, we've said all along, like, that's really tough to do 82 times. Especially like they've done it several times this season and still lost. So like when they don't, it's going to look like this.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Got anything else?
That's all I got for you, Charlie.
I think that'll wrap up your responsibilities here, Charlie. So go do whatever it is you do on a Saturday after a Flyers game.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Take it
Thanks,
easy,
Charlie.
my friend. I'll see you next week. Charlie is going on part of the West Coast trip next week. He's going to be in LA and Anaheim for the back-to-backs that they have there. I love when, we're going to go out. They have a game like, I think Tuesday and then Friday, Saturday. Like, let's give them a back-to-back on their West Coast trip. I love that scheduling. But Charlie's going to go out, so you'll actually be in studio with us next Friday. We will have Kelly on Thursday. So it's going to be a fun group of live shows next week. Going to be a good time. I really enjoyed Charlie. He got in Harbinger and Nebulous there. He loves to flaunt that Ivy League education. He loves to throw it in all of our faces. I gotta take a quick minute and tell you, because I've fallen way behind on the timing here. I got to tell you about our friends at Soul Savvy. You do not want to miss out on the biggest sneaker drops, and that's why you need to download the Soul Savvy Drops app. The Drops by Soul Savvy app makes it easy to keep up with all the latest news releases, raffles, and sales in the sneaker world. It's your one-stop shop for everything sneakers. They have drop alert instant notifications. You'll never miss a release again. You'll get instantly notified whenever your size is available to buy. They also have a free raffle management. You can keep track of all the raffles that happen in sneakers with the raffle tracker, and a release calendar. An accurate release calendar will keep you updated on releases that are upcoming. Whether you're a casual buyer or an all-out sneakerhead, Soul Savvy is something for you with 3 different levels. The basic version, which is free, and they also have a mobile plus and premium. So any level of sneaker buying you're into, they have something for you. You get drop alert for this Saturday. Oh, it's today. November 4th, the Air Jordan 1.
Saturday.
Yeah, yes. I asked, like, what's today's day? No, it's now. The Air Jordan 1 reimagined Royal drops. The Drops by Soul Savvy will notify you when and where it's dropping. Download the app and never miss a release. Sign up for Soul Savvy by clicking the links in the description below or by visiting links.soulsavvy.com/PHLY or head over to the App Store and download the Drops by Soul Savvy app. All right. So I don't think we have a ton more to get to with this one, but it's really just like looking forward to what's upcoming. So much of this season has been about like, all right, and now what? Like now it is about responding.
Yeah.
You know, you had one of your top 2 defensemen benched. You got a little bit embarrassed at home. Maybe going on a road trip isn't the worst thing in the world now. It's always a good bonding experience, especially for a young team to head out on these road trips. Now it's about how they respond. They're not going to be playing. I mean, they get the Sharks on this trip. So, man, if you don't get 2 points playing the Sharks, they don't have a win yet. You know, they're 0-9-1 so far this season. But I'm really looking forward to just seeing if they can, all right, yeah, brush this one off and be right back where they were, just a couple of days ago. That's what I'm looking forward to on this trip.
Yeah, no, you nailed it on the head. I really feel like this West Coast trip is going to tell us a lot about this team. I really took away from speaking to Charlie today about Cam York, and I'm a little concerned as well. And obviously, we got the torts answer that we always give. We're going to have to wait and see. But what better way to go out in the West Coast? Cam York from the Anaheim area, the LA area. And, that's probably the best spot for Cam York to kind of shake this little slide he's been on. And I'm curious to see how that looks. You're right, man. If we don't get some points against the Sharks, it's going to be bad. But we'll see if these guys can bond together. And obviously, if they're going to win some games, they're going to have to work their butt off. And we'll see if that happens here on the West Coast. And like you mentioned, fantastic scheduling that the NHL gave us here this next week.
So we won't be doing post-game shows, but we will be doing 5 live shows at our normal, afternoon times next week. So we'll get to respond to those games. But then they will be coming home the following weekend. You can catch them at the Wells Fargo Center. Saturday especially looks like a good one. The defending champion Vegas Golden Knights coming into town. And then Sunday, we will get to see Johnny Gaudreau and the Columbus Blue Jackets. And if you want to attend one of those games, I suggest you do so with Game Time. Buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And after you get those tickets, you might be wondering, what should I wear to the game? I suggest you answer that question by going to FOCO. FOCO is the absolute best officially licensed gear for all sports and fandoms. Whether you're looking for team apparel for the season ahead, they've got overalls, hoodies, hats, sunglasses, bags, anything you need for game day, and more. Maybe you're looking for some accessories, toys, collectibles, or novelty items for your man cave, she shed, or podcast set. You've got to use FOCO for all your team gear needs. FOCO always has our back for Philly sports, and they have yours too. Get the best gear around by using the link in the description of this show. For all non-presale items, use the promo code PHLY for 10% off. That's PHLY. Get your blanket hoodies. It doesn't have the same ring as get your overalls, but we'll figure something out that's just as good as the overalls.
Speaking of apparel, I'm glad that we both telepathically coordinated with the beanies here today, the Flyers beanies.
Yeah, it is. Listen, it's getting cold out there. Yeah. It's time to start rocking the winter hats. So
I'm excited for it.
I love when I see the old black jerseys, it makes me mad that they won't just give us the old black jerseys now.
It's a good look, man.
Like, just do it. They're the coolest jerseys they've had. I love those. No, I had an orange one. That was my second Flyers jersey. It was I got a Chris Gratton when they signed him. That worked out real well. He was here a season and a half, changed his number after one season, and then they traded him. What a great purchase that was.
And then real quick, Obi-Wan says, so we were talking about Cam York going back to Anaheim. Lehman, watch him get benched for that game. Imagine he's benched for that one.
Oh, man. He did it to Sanheim last year in Calgary. Like, his whole family was there, and he didn't know until before the game. It was like, yeah, you're scratched. So maybe this is a tool in Tortorella's. Now, I think Tortorella realized, that was as big of an asshole as he can be. That was a little much.
Dude.
And he was like, I think that was one of the things. Because, listen, they tried to trade Sanheim in the offseason, and then they couldn't. And now he's got a no-trade clause, so he's basically stuck here unless he asks out. And it was like, okay, you've got to figure out how to make this work.
Yep.
Because he's your only top-pair defenseman. And it seems like it has, but I think Tortorella, knows that was a little much. And I can't imagine he does that a second year in a row. That would be very surprising, especially with Ristolainen hurt. It's like they only have 6.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true. And we need Cam York to turn it around, man.
And there's a vested interest in trying to make it work with Cam York as well. I'm interested to see the York comments. Charlie didn't get a chance to speak with him before he joined us. He'll get a chance either after or at practice or on the trip this week, so we can find out exactly, hopefully, what happened. But do you have anything else, JP?
No, man. Obviously we're going on the West Coast trip, so it's going to be a long season. Obviously, they're not all going to be perfect, but we just want hard work. We want development, and that's really what we're here for in year 1 of this Danny Keith project here. We're all excited for, and no matter what, we're going to keep bringing the energy here on PHLY Flyers. If I'm not here, it doesn't matter who's going to be here. We're going to bring the energy because I know it's going to be tough night in, night out. You might have some nights like tonight, but you're going to have some good nights as well. But we'll always bring that energy here.
We will. I will just do what I did on the Broad Street Hockey post games and start drinking heavily, and everyone will be entertained. Like, I don't know, I might get fired, but people will like it up until that point. I do have to shout out my boy Davey B, Dave Benjamin. He said 6 shirt. He's the one who actually got me this shirt at Repo Records. They still have them. It's very cool. The old Phillies P with the Misfits logo in there. So thanks, Dave. I think that about wraps it up. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, you got to hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter. Follow the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe. There we go. To the YouTube page. My name is Bill Matz for JP. Dallas sucks.
Hey.
We all silly like the mayor.